Nigel Cecil, equity as you like it.
Nigel Cecil, as you like it.
Hello once again, Nigel Cecil here, video 40, which is going to be looking at the way Boris Johnson, Boris Johnson, Hillary, yes, the Prime Minister, presented his speech at the Tory Party Conference. That's because the last video, my equitable friend said, would you review what Keir Starmer did, applying show business criteria? So I did, so only right, we do the same with Boris, isn't it? Yes, indeed. Cue the party slogan. Thank you, Hillary. Why is Nigel wearing a red jacket? Well, you see, in show business, we all know you don't go to hear a play at the theatre. You go to see the play, you go to see a band. And indeed, the Tory Party Conference, similarly, is an audio-visual experience. So what you actually see, either right in front of your very eyes or subliminally, influences your overall perception of what the event was like. And we've had a number of emails, haven't we, Hillary? Yes, asking why was Carrie Johnson wearing that rather delightful red dress? But red it was at a blue Tory Party conference. Did somebody think that wearing the red dress might sort of say to the Labour voters watching, hey, hang on, the Tory Party are thinking of you? Because if so, it probably was a little bit OTT, and somebody advising hasn't actually thought the consequences through of what it would impact subliminally on others watching. And indeed, if we look back at Keir Starmer's assessment, which I did in video 39, you might have noticed that Keir actually came on stage and only from the side of the stage. And before he even started speaking, we'd had the arms, the arms out even further for 50 seconds before he started speaking. Now look, we come to Boris, the other extreme. I mean, have you ever seen a Prime Minister, because after all, Boris is the Prime Minister, the Queen's First Minister of the United Kingdom. And yet, amongst a hall packed with all his supporters, he took, less than 30 seconds, was it? Somewhere like that, to get from coming from the audience right onto the stage, shutting everybody up and starting speaking. Now, could you imagine Winston Churchill or Margaret Thatcher doing something like that? I mean, Boris came across, in my humble opinion, from show business point of view, as like hurried and worried. Hurried and worried. Come on, let's get on stage. Let's get it over with. And that's not the sort of feeling you want to inculcate amongst your supporters. Indeed. He did manage to get the message in, though. Here's the message again. Hillary's reminding me that I should really start at the very beginning with the video that preceded Boris coming into the conference hall, because I did that about Keir, so we have to have equality, don't we? Yes, Hillary, thank you for reminding me. Now, the difference was Boris's video did seem to focus more on the core Tory party message, building back better, getting on with the job. So overall, it seemed to be more involved in Boris's speech, because Boris also mentioned that quite a number of times. But however, personally, from a show business point of view, I can't get away from the fact that Boris did look hurried and worried. Indeed, in his speech, I think we got the word count, did we, Hillary? And Boris, in 45 minutes or so, delivered nearly as many words as Keir Starmer did in an hour and a half or so. So it was impact, and that concept of being hurried, you always have to put the voters first. And if you rush, well, they think, hang on, I'm not quite sure about this. It sort of doesn't build up that trust you need. And indeed, the way Boris was dressed, well, I couldn't help but notice the tie. I always remember when I was at school, the headmaster always said, make sure your tie looks good and comfortable. Whereas Boris's tie, well, it looked as though it was almost strangling him. Whereas if you looked at Rishi Sunak, I mean, he really looked prime ministerial. I mean, the tie was immaculate. And those are the things you have to think about. In fact, let's just have a look and compare them. Boris and Rishi. Did you spot the difference there with the tie? In fact, you have to look and feel comfortable when you're giving a speech. And Boris didn't look comfortable. In fact, I'm not comfortable wearing this. Can I just go and get a quick change and get rid of this jacket, please, Hilary? Yes, thank you very much. Do excuse me a minute. Hello, is that better? I've put a bit of blue on as well, just to coordinate with the Tory Party. All right, but you see, if we come back to the way Boris was actually presenting his speech, his body language, Boris didn't seem to do anything to actually call the audience in, to invite them in, because all his arm actions were always out, up, like that. And you really need the body language to make everybody feel relaxed and welcome. I am the Prime Minister, and therefore I'm pleased today to be able to be with you to discuss what we're going to do for the future and include everybody in. But that didn't happen. Now, I'm not blaming Boris in any way, in the same way I didn't blame Keir Starmer, because when you're leaders, you often haven't got the ability to spend the time for somebody to advise you, and you rely on the people around you to actually say, hey, do you think you could just do that? Do you think you could just do the other? But they do that not telling you to do something because it'd look good, but they do that understanding your personality and what makes you tick. So it's all very personal. You see, Margaret Thatcher had her Sir Bernard Ingham. Tony Blair had his Alistair Campbell. But who has Keir Starmer got? And who has Boris Johnson got, who actually knows something about show business and communication? You might say, why does show business matter? Well, it's because show business is the universal means of communication. Whatever your ethnicity, whatever your social background, we can all relate to entertainment. So if you understand how entertainment works, you equally understand the methods you should use to communicate with everybody. Well, that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Is that right? But let's look at Boris's body language. You see, it was all like, he just didn't feel welcoming. In fact, I couldn't find any pictures anywhere throughout the whole speech that made him look inviting and welcoming. These are the best ones. And then when we say hurried and worried, you always need the big ending, don't you? The big ending. Now, did you spot those placards? Did you spot those placards that came up at the end of Boris's speech? Yes, I know, Hilary. It was surprising, wasn't it? And Boris's speech. Did you spot when it ended? Because it ended with, and that's the spirit we're going to unleash.
And that is the spirit we are going to unleash.
And as quick as a flash, the notes are under the arm again. Thank you very much. Oh, and we're out of the hall in 30 seconds or so. Gone. That's not the way to do it, is it? Everybody knows you have to give the audience the courtesy of letting them thank you. I mean, woe betide the brilliant performers on stage that don't come back for a second curtain call. I mean, but Boris, off, wham, bam, gone so quick. It came across as discourteous, hurried and worried. And, you know, just to finish the speech like that, I mean, what, for the sake of it, is it 20 words or so, we'd have had the big finish. But we didn't get them. And those placards coming up, I mean, that gave the whole game away. I mean, have they been sitting there on those placards for the whole of the speech thinking, oh, if we don't like the speech, we won't put the placards up? I mean, they were going to put them up anyway. So subliminally at home, people will say, it's all organised, that. All organised. Indeed, you couldn't even see Boris, for part of the time, rushing out of the hall with his wife because the placards blocked the view completely and everybody was applauding. What? There was nobody on the stage. They'd gone. Where? You see? And so it makes you wonder what's actually going on. I mean, here's the placards. The placards being held up for nobody. Boris had left the stage, but Hillary reminded me that I did put up the Labour Party slogan on the monitor when I was discussing Keir Starmer. So I better show equality all round and put the Tory Party slogan up on the monitor now. And Hillary also reminded me that I didn't mention the introductory music. Now, here's a tricky one. Originally, I thought, do I know that tune? And then I did a little bit of research because it was used when Boris left the conference hall as well so quickly. Yes, and apparently, well, it is, by a group called Friendly Fires. And they come from St Albans, don't they? And we've had many a wonderful night at the All Saints Pastoral Centre at London Colney, a lovely place to visit near St Albans. And Friendly Fires, well, have you got those words again? Yes, thank you, yes. I was trying to think why this tune was, chosen, and it's called Blue Cassette. Now, did somebody think, blue cassette, so it's appropriate? But when you look at the words, it says, I found a tape in my back garden, a blue cassette covered in dirt. Now, is that really a tune to choose? What was it meant to say? And indeed, the golden rule that somebody didn't check up, and this is almost, beginner's class, isn't it? Did they ask permission to use the tune? And apparently somebody didn't, because the band happened to say this. Overlooking obvious things like that with the music leads one to ask, as I conclude this video, where are the Sir Bernard Inghams and Alistair Campbells of today able to advise Keir Starmer and Boris Johnson? Have we got any? Step forward, please. What? Yes, you would, wouldn't you? I said Boris could finish his speech in a more closing manner, impactful manner, with probably round about 20 words, and Hillary's asking me to present it. Well, I'm hesitating a bit, because my best friend Hillary actually lives in the constituency of Paul Maynard MP, who apparently, I hear, used to be the speechwriter for William Hague. And I would hate to think that I'm presuming that Nigel would know better. So, what, I have to do it? Oh, well, here we go. So if you're ready, yes, have you got things ready for me? So here's the 20 words or so Nigel would suggest adding to Boris's speech, so everybody knows it's finished. Everybody knows when to applaud. So, if we're ready, deep breath. Here, look up at the back. Yes, look up at the back. Yes, you can put your arms out if you want. Here we go. That's the spirit we're going to unleash across our 4 nations. So we'll be galvanised, getting on with the job. Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales and England. Levelling up our United Kingdom to build back better. Cue the applause. Well, that's my interpretation, my assessment of applying show business criteria to Boris's speech, and I hope you join me again for another Nigel Cecil video very shortly. Any questions, any comments, please email them in to this email address and we'll get back to you. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching. Goodbye from Nigel. Goodbye.
Equity UK, progressively promoting, protecting performers.